As a commentary blogger specializing in brain-burning and secondarily suspenseful reverse movies, my friend and I have found another super suspenseful, super mind-blowing, super unexpected movie with a disappearing lover. You've heard of The Disappearing Lover, and you've heard of The Invisible Guest, and this is even better than The Invisible Guest. Since I've compared these two masterpieces, how good does this one have to be? Let's take a look. Movies are 24 lies per second. A good movie is worth my in-depth interpretation for you. Hello everyone, I'm Scene Stealer. This video brings you El Cuerpo. So, in order not to affect your viewing experience later, I'll introduce the creative team first. I won't say much about the actors. They're all local Spanish actors with no big fame, but the director is very famous. If I just say his name, Oriol Paulo, you probably won't remember him, but if I say he's the director of The Invisible Guest, you'll know how talented he is. And the female corpse mystery I'm going to talk about today is the director's debut film. 4 years later, he directed The Invisible Guest and it was a huge hit. Another thing about this director is that he writes and directs all his own work. You can say that when it comes to suspense films, he's definitely a genius. So how amazing is the debut of such a talented director? Without further ado, the story begins. This story, which takes place on a dark and stormy night, starts with an old man running like crazy in the woods, either in shock or for some other reason. Just as he runs onto the road, he is knocked flying. The camera then pans to the home of a police officer. The man seems to have just got out of the shower when the phone rings. It goes without saying that the call must be related to the traffic accident. So the question is, if you're looking for a traffic cop for a traffic accident, why would you call a detective? This is really interesting and eerie. Then we see the man at the hospital. A colleague is telling him about the old man who was hit. While chatting with the man, it turns out that the man is called James. He had been on vacation in Berlin with his daughter and just returned today. Since it happened to be his shift tonight, his colleague called him in. And the old man who was hit, according to the driver, he said he ran out of the woods, which is what we said at the beginning. The police also went to the woods to investigate. There were indeed traces of running. So what was the old man doing running in the woods in the middle of the night? After learning the identity of the old man, Jane went directly to the nearby morgue, because the old man was the guard of the morgue. After arriving at the morgue and learning the situation, Paul knew why he was called. It turned out that no one was in the morgue after 8:00 p.m. and there was only one guard on duty, the old man who had been hit by the car. But what was strange was that it was clear from the surveillance camera footage that at 8:26 p.m. the old man seemed to have seen something and left his post to go upstairs. Then, 5 minutes later, the old man ran out in a panic. During this time, he tried to call for help, but when the police called him back, no one answered. Then he was hit while crossing the forest. So why is it so strange? Because from the time the old man left, the surveillance cameras in the entire mall stopped working except for the one in the lobby facing the reception. So in other words, no one knows what happened during the time the old man left, but judging from the old man's appearance, he must have been scared away. There is another even stranger thing. A female corpse was missing from the morgue. So that's why Jane was called in and the whole story is explained. Next, they have to find the missing woman's body. There is something wrong with her too. Her name is Maker. She is a super rich businesswoman who owns several new technology companies. Her husband, Alex, works in one of her laboratories. The police's initial investigation found out that Maker had just returned from a business trip to Los Angeles and suddenly suffered a heart attack that afternoon when she got home. By the time Alex got home from work, she had already died. The body was then taken to the morgue for an autopsy, but before the autopsy could be performed, the body was dumped. So from the above information, we can deduce two clues. One is that there is something fishy about Maker's death, and someone doesn't want an autopsy. The other is that Maker's husband, Alex, has an alibi and can be ruled out as a suspect for the time being. But is this Alex really innocent? I don't think so. Meanwhile, Alex is grieving at home. After all, his wife has just died, and he has to put on a show. And just after Maker's two sisters left, this guy couldn't wait to hop on his scooter and go to a woman's house. After they met, they kissed. No need to ask, Maker's death was definitely Alex's doing. This woman is the mistress. Pay attention to the time here. It's almost 2 o'clock. Then the two of them had a drink and chatted for a while. Alex assured Carla that everything was taken care of, but just then his phone suddenly rang. It was the police. His wife's body had gone missing, and he was definitely going to be notified to come in for questioning. After hanging up, Alex was a little unsure, although only he and Carla knew about it, and he knew he had done a perfect job. It was always a problem when a body went missing for no reason. So he told Carla to wait at home for news and hurried to the morgue. When he arrived at the morgue, James told Alex the whole story about the security guard being knocked over and his wife's body going missing. The situation was that he suspected either vandalism or organ traffickers, but he had already ruled out both before Alex arrived. Vandalism would definitely have left traces, but there were none. And organ trafficking was even more unlikely, because if that were the case, it would not be just one body that was missing, and it should have been the body of a young person. Of course, there is another possibility, and that is that Alex's wife was a member of a secret religion, and the body needed to go through some kind of ritual, so it was stolen by a member of the religion. But Alex said that his wife did not belong to any religion, and James asked again, "Do you and your wife have any enemies? Is it possible that an enemy came looking for you?" And Alex said that they were law-abiding citizens and did not have any enemies. In short, James spent most of the time asking questions, but didn't get to the bottom of anything. Either the body just disappeared into thin air, or it came back to life and ran away. It's spooky, isn't it? The forensic doctor arrives, and James goes to hand over the body, leaving Alex alone for a while. As soon as the police leave, Alex calls Carla. He asks her to go to the hospital where the security guard was hit as soon as possible, and see if there's anything suspicious, because he didn't believe the police. And as for how the investigation was going over, we'll leave that alone for now. When he returned to the morgue, the forensic doctor had a chat with Alex again, mainly asking about Maker's physical condition, whether she had any illnesses or anything, and Alex replied that his wife was in perfect health and ate everything with no illnesses at all. Even so, the forensic doctor still thought that his wife might have suffered cardiac arrest due to stress from the long flight. Of course, this is all speculation until an autopsy is performed. So as to why the body disappeared, he felt that there was another possibility, which was a case of forced fainting. This disease is basically the same as death when it strikes. However, the body will still maintain basic metabolic activity and be able to revive itself after a while. So what the forensic doctor meant was that the body might really have run away on its own. Hearing this conclusion, Jane quickly called the forensic doctor out and said, "Don't mess with me. You did the death identification, so can the body really run away by itself?" The forensic doctor said, "I did indeed do the identification, but in the face of this situation, I have to reconsider." The forensic doctor said, "There is such a regulation in the forensic examination regulations, that is, any death is considered murder until proven otherwise, and now that the body is gone and the cause of death cannot be determined, then there is only one possibility left." And they all looked at Alex. "What's the other possibility?" "He killed the man and stole the body." James was about to change the direction of the investigation. "Forget about the body for now. Let's investigate Alex." Alex knew full well that he shouldn't stay here any longer. He kept arguing that he wanted to leave, but he definitely couldn't leave just yet. Just as he was arguing with the police, boom, the power went out. This morgue is no good. Either the surveillance system is broken or the power goes out. The police told Alex to go back and wait, and then went with his colleagues to find out what was going on. However, as soon as Alex walked into the office, bang, a loud noise startled him. Looking back, it seemed that the sound came from the autopsy room next door, and the autopsy room is connected to the morgue, which can be said to be the scariest place in the entire morgue. If it were me, I would definitely not dare to go near it, but Alex is not like that. He went straight over and opened the door to the morgue. As soon as he did, a box appeared on his wife's bed. The box was full of his wife's belongings, but something was missing from one of the bags. Before Alex could think about what it was, he noticed that the cupboard door had opened. When he went over to have a look, he nearly fainted with fear. What was going on? Inside was a bottle labeled TH16. What the hell is that? That's a long story. Let's go back a day to the morning Maker arrived home. When she got home, Maker took a bath first, and Alex kindly prepared a glass of red wine for her. While he was preparing the wine, he added a drop of TH16 to it. Then Alex was about to go to work, but Maker hadn't seen Alex for weeks, wanted Alex to stay with her, but could he? If he did, there would be no alibi. Alex said no, there was a meeting at the office, but don't forget that the whole office belongs to Maker. So Maker just called the office and said that Maker wasn't going. Alex was already a little upset at this point, but the next second Maker said, "Just kidding, go to work," and Alex went to work. So this TH16 basically is the murder weapon that killed Maker. So how did it end up in the morgue? Watch on. At this point, Alex is holding the TH-16 in a daze when suddenly the electricity comes back on. Then the police come in, and Alex quickly and nonchalantly puts the TH-16 in his pocket. The police ask who told you to come here, and Alex says he heard a noise over here. One of the policemen was sharp-eyed and saw that there was an extra box on the bed, saying that it was for the belongings of the deceased, which were locked in the locker. Looking back, the locker was broken open. Then there was no need to ask about the scene. Alex was the only one there. How do you explain it? Alex said, "It's not me. I was like this when I came in." The police checked the box and found that a mobile phone was missing. James said, "It's not you. You're a ghost. Take it out." But as we just saw, Alex really didn't do it. But don't forget, he still has a bottle of pills in his pocket. If that's discovered, it'll be trouble. Alex refuses to cooperate, so James wants to search him. They struggle for a while, and the bottle of pills is finally found. Seeing that the truth is about to be revealed, Alex starts playing dumb, saying, "I picked this up when I came in. I wanted to throw it in the trash, but I didn't have time." Jane looked at the bottle and saw the logo from his lab. He said, "Isn't this from your lab?" Alex continued to play dumb and said, "So what? Our products are sold everywhere. Since there is no evidence at the moment, the police can't do anything to him, so they were considering letting him go home." During this time, Alex went to the bathroom and called Carla back. Carla was still investigating the security guard. Alex told Carla what had just happened, and the appearance of TH-16 proved that their affair had been exposed, but only the two of them knew about it, so he suspected that Carla had leaked the news. Carla said, "How could it be me? You two live together every day. Maybe you talked in your sleep and let the cat out of the bag." Anyway, all signs now pointed to the possibility that Maker had escaped from the dead. So the two of them finally reached a consensus. First, find out what had happened to Maker's body. After hanging up, Alex washed his face to clear his head. Suddenly, just then, there was the sound of a window being opened behind him. He went over and found an envelope sitting on the windowsill. Alex was dumbfounded when he opened the envelope. What's going on? It contained an invitation to an event, and on the back it said, "Close your eyes and stay by my side." What did this mean? Let's rewind the clock to the day of the event. That afternoon, Alex came home especially late. Maker said, "You haven't forgotten about the event tonight, have you?" Alex said, "No, I can't get away because of the lab." But Maker said, "I called the lab and they said you weren't there all afternoon." Alex wasn't at all flustered and said, "I went out to get some samples," but it's hard to say whether Maker believed him or not. That night, after returning from the event, the two went to bed early. During the night, Alex suddenly heard his phone ring, so he quietly got out of bed to check it. It was a text message from Carla. The content was, "Close your eyes, you are still by my side." So in other words, Maker had known about Alex and Carla for a long time. When he returned to the morgue, Alex also broke out in a cold sweat when he saw this sentence. He quickly tore up the envelope and threw it in the toilet, but coincidentally, the water suddenly stopped. The shredded paper would not flush away, and what was even more unfortunate, a policeman came to see him. Alex quickly closed the door and pretended to be throwing up inside because he had a bad stomach. The policeman said to come out quickly. There was a new lead. There was no other way in this situation, and the paper definitely could not be found by the policeman. So Alex gritted his teeth and stamped his feet, and simply fished the shredded paper out and ate it directly. In this way, he escaped another disaster. After leaving the bathroom, Alex was taken to the control room. James said that this controlled the electricity and surveillance of the entire building, but there was a suspicion that the air duct leading to the ground floor had been opened. So he suspected that someone had come here to turn off the surveillance, then went to steal Maker's body, and then returned here to transport the body through the air duct. He had already sent someone to investigate upstairs, and so far, only one footprint had been found. What's even more unbelievable is that the access to the surveillance room requires a password, but the password has also been changed. What has it been changed to? It's the date on the wall, March 20, 2012. Of course, today is not that date, and the date was also changed afterwards. Obviously, this was all done by the person who stole the body, so Jane wants to know if Alex knows what this date means. But Alex was already trembling inside because he knew exactly what the date meant. It was the password to his laboratory, and it was also the date on which he and Carla had met, but no one else could possibly know this date, and only Maker knew it. She had seen it once when she had come to the laboratory to see him, but she didn't know what the date meant, so the appearance of this date made Alex 100% sure that Maker must still be alive. Leaving the control room, the fire alarm suddenly went off and the whole building was flooded with water. Jane was about to lead everyone out when Alex's phone suddenly rang. At that moment, the scene was in chaos and no one paid any attention to him, so he snuck into a room to answer the call. Carla said that the security guard was still unconscious and there were no abnormalities here. But things were very abnormal on Alex's side. He asked Carla not to call him again. He now suspects that Maker really is not dead. As he speaks, he suddenly sees Maker's corpse ring and turns around. My goodness, Maker appears, but in the blink of an eye she disappears again. Alex says that if Maker really is not dead, then you are in danger now, so don't worry about it. Just come out quickly and let's go far away together. As he speaks, the alarm suddenly stops. James arrives, but we don't know when. So did he hear what Alex said? We don't know. Alex told another lie, saying that his sister had asked when he would be back. The situation was now very bad for Alex. The source of the fire alarm had been found. Someone had left a cigarette butt in the bathroom. Alex had just been in the bathroom to smoke. The results of the TH16 test were also in, and it was a substance harmful to the heart and lungs. It was probably extracted from the venom of some animal. If ingested, it can cause cardiac arrest within 8 hours without leaving any trace, so it seems pretty clear what happened. Maker's death must have been caused by Alex, so James ordered Alex to be locked up and personally escorted him back to the station for questioning after the rain stopped. So that's the story. Let's first analyze the current situation. The police, led by James, are more inclined to believe that the body was stolen because the probability of someone coming back from the dead is extremely low, almost impossible. But after experiencing so many strange events, Alex is very sure that Maker is still alive, because there are things that can only be explained if Maker is still alive. Otherwise it would be a haunting. So is Maker dead or not? Let's continue. After being locked up, Alex suddenly heard music. After searching for a while, the sound came from the morgue again. So he went in again, curious, and looked for a while. He found that the sound was coming from a body bag. Opening the bag, he found a mobile phone inside, but what he couldn't believe was that the caller ID showed that the call was from Maker. He pressed the answer button with trembling hands, but at the same time, the other party hung up. What the hell is going on? Alex was completely baffled. Looking at the information on the deceased, his name was Javier Alonso. Why did this person's name sound so familiar? Just as he was pondering who this person was, the door to the morgue slammed shut. He ran over and vaguely saw someone running out. Could it have been Maker? Realizing that he couldn't get out, Alex started checking his phone. It didn't matter, the phone was full of call records with Maker. So Alex called back, and the call was quickly answered. The person on the other end was a hotel waiter, who said that Maker had left her phone behind. Alex said, "How is that possible? Maker is my wife and she's dead." The waiter said, "I'm sorry, but I'm sure I left it here tonight. I found it in the bathroom. This is getting really weird. Let's not worry about how the phone got to the hotel for now. Let's first find out who this Alonso is." Let's go back a few days before Maker's business trip to Los Angeles. One night, Alex and Maker had dinner at a hotel. It was the same hotel where the waiter found the phone. Alex and Maker often went to this hotel. At that time, Maker met an acquaintance. Alex saw Maker greet this person, and it seemed that the two were quite close. After Maker returned, Alex asked who this person was. Maker said it was her lawyer and psychologist, and the man's name was Alonso, so that means Maker and this person have an unusual relationship. At this point, Alex was completely confused and couldn't figure out what was going on, so he used this phone to call Carla and tell her everything that had just happened. He now suspected that everything was Maker's doing. This Alonso might not even be a lawyer, and Maker had lied at the time. So he asked Carla to find out who this Alonso really is. If they can find out who this person is, they can expose Maker's plot. Then the scene changes and the camera pans to James. The director used a relatively advanced transition to flash back to a memory of James. It's probably when James was young and his wife died for some reason. Pay attention to the fact that the forensic doctor at the time is the same one who confirmed Maker's death. So what did James go through back then? Oh, I can't say. Back to reality. The police found a suspicious invoice, according to which James seems to have figured out what's going on. The rain shows no sign of stopping, so he simply interrogates Alex in the morgue. This scene focuses on Alex's account of how he met Maker and what he was doing the day Maker died. He told the story in great detail, and James asked even more detailed questions. After listening, James was even more certain of his suspicion that Maker was killed by Alex. What made him most certain was that he had also lost his wife, and knew exactly how painful that feeling was. But when Alex learned that Maker had died, he acted in a particularly calm manner, not at all like someone who had lost his wife. Then James took out the invoice, which clearly stated that Maker had hired a private detective. So James speculated that Maker must have suspected Alex of cheating and hired a private detective to investigate him. And if this is confirmed, then according to the provisions of the marriage law, once the two divorce, Alex will not get a penny, so this is Alex's motive for killing Maker. So now all that's needed is to find this private detective named Alonso to find out the truth. Hearing the name Alonso, Alex suddenly felt a little familiar. The corpse he found in the phone just now seemed to be called Alonso. Isn't this person Maker's lawyer? It's the same person he met at the hotel last time. But what's so strange? When he took Jane to show him the corpse, the body bag contained someone else. The name on the tag had also changed. In an instant, Alex completely broke down. He ran to the toilet and vomited, while the police had already found Alonso's home on the other side, but there was no one here. Alonso's phone was also out of reach, and there was no information about Alex's investigation. The only thing that was certain was that the computer hard drive was missing. So where did the computer hard drive go? Let's go back to the morgue. After Alex finished vomiting, while no one was looking after him, he called Carla again and asked if he had found the person named Alonso. Carla said, "I just got home, and I don't know who left an envelope at my door with a memory card inside. I'll open it with my computer and send you a message with the contents." The contents of this memory card are exactly the contents of the hard drive of Alonso's computer. That is, evidence of Alex's relationship with Carla, and there are even recordings. So that means Maker knows everything, including how Alex is going to harm him. Alex immediately realizes that something is wrong and tells Carla to run. But as soon as Carla gets into the elevator, she says she feels like someone is following her. Alex told him not to be afraid and to run towards a crowded place. While the two of them were talking and Carla was walking out, a car suddenly came from a distance, and then Alex heard the sound of the phone dropping to the ground. Without a doubt, Carla had been killed. This incident made Alex completely unable to sit still, because from beginning to end, the whole thing was something he did in order to be with Carla. He truly loved Carla, and if anything happened to her, he would lose everything. So he went to James and yelled at him, demanding to leave. But now that he was the prime suspect, how could he leave? James silenced him with a punch. At this point, there was only one way to save Carla: tell the truth. So in order to save Carla, Alex had to confess everything, including how he met Carla, how the two got to know each other and fell in love, how Carla forced him to leave Maker, and how the two planned to murder Maker. After listening, James said that wasn't right. If Maker was supposed to die according to your elaborate plan, how could she have come back from the dead? As for this question, of course Alex couldn't figure it out either, but he felt that it was likely because Maker had hired a private detective to investigate, and she had learned about his plan and responded in advance. Then she played along with his fake death and came back to life to toy with him. But this speculation was just Alex's wishful thinking, and things did not develop in this direction. It was already early morning, and the field police called to say that they had found a diagram of the morgue and instructions on how to modify the security system at Alex's home. They also found a shovel, a backpack, and a pair of sneakers in Alex's car. The shoes matched the footprint found near the morgue, and most importantly, a recently used handgun was found in the closet at Alex's house. It seems clear from this point in the story that Maker's body was stolen by Alex. But is that really what happened? Let's look at the other side of the story. The security guard who had been unconscious in the hospital all night also woke up. James immediately called and finally learned from the guard what had happened. It turned out that the security guard was on duty that night. At around 8 o'clock, the security camera feed suddenly went down, so he took a flashlight and went to find out what was going on. When he passed the morgue, he noticed that a body was missing. Then he heard someone running, so he chased after them. My god, the body somehow got into the elevator. The next second the elevator door closed, and when it opened, again, the body was gone. This scene scared the old man, so at this time, he called for help. Then suddenly a man came out and shot at him, and then he ran out of the morgue, through the woods, and ran to the road and was hit. This is what happened to the security guard that night, and just now those bullet gels were also found, the same type as the ones found in Alex's house, so it is basically clear that Maker's body was stolen by Alex. After hearing this, Alex firmly denied it. He still believed that Maker was not dead at all, and that everything was conspiracy between him and the private investigator Alonso to frame him. However, no matter what, he now only hoped that James would quickly send someone to help Carla, who was likely already dead, and he was very worried. So whether Alex admitted it or not, the whole incident was basically set in stone, because all the evidence pointed to the fact that Maker had been killed by Alex and that he had stolen the body. James was therefore prepared to take Alex back to the police station and sent someone to Carla's house. But what was so strange about it, there was no one at Carla's house. It didn't look like anyone had lived there, and the neighbors had never heard of a woman called Carla living there. So in other words, this Carla didn't exist at all and Alex had made it all up. Is that really the case? Of course not. I'll tell you the twist in the story, but you won't guess it. You won't be able to guess it even if you try. And don't forget, Maker has still not been found. So has Maker died or not? And if she has, who stole her body? Don't worry, the truth will be revealed soon. James and Alex have barely gone when the road ahead is suddenly blocked. It turns out that Maker's body has been found. His men haven't had time to tell James yet, so he drove over himself. Hearing the news, Alex is finally relieved. Maker's body was buried in the woods by someone unknown, and was easily dug up. Upon opening it, it was indeed Maker, and yes, she was completely dead. So with that, Maker's death is confirmed. But who stole the body? Keep watching to find out. Since Maker's body was found, from James' perspective, it was basically Alex who did it. And the girl Carla had already confirmed that it didn't exist and that everything was made up by Alex. But from Alex's perspective, this whole thing was very strange, because of course he could be sure that he didn't steal the body at all. So when the police were about to take him away, he broke free and ran. Let's say the terrain is surrounded by police. Can you run away? As a result, after a few steps, the guy fell down. Maybe he hadn't slept all night and couldn't take it anymore, but of course the real reason was that he had been poisoned. So what is the truth of the whole thing? Hey, pay attention. The ultimate reversal is coming. James slowly followed Alex to him, kicked him down, and slowly told the truth. It turned out that one night more than 10 years ago, he was driving home with his wife and daughter when he was suddenly hit by a car. He and his daughter were fine, but his wife died instantly, and the driver who hit them didn't hesitate to just run away. Because he didn't get medical treatment in time, his wife unfortunately passed away. Later, he and his daughter tried to remember and finally remembered the license plate of the car and found the driver. Now, you can probably guess what happened. Yes, the person who hit them was Alex and Maker. So James and his daughter spent more than 10 years planning the ultimate revenge. And Carla is none other than James' daughter. Everything was a conspiracy between the two of them, so James actually stole Maker's body. At this point, Alex felt his heart getting heavier and heavier. What's going on? Remember last night around 2 AM Alex went to see Carla for a drink? At that time, Carla drugged him with the TH16 that Alex used to kill Maker. It was almost 10 AM and the drug had an 8-hour effect, so the attack was just in time. Whether Alex was dead or alive, the fact that he had murdered his wife was already set in stone. But I have to say that James is really ruthless. In order to avenge his wife, he even let his daughter get involved. Was it really worth it? Okay, that's the end of the story. In fact, we can all see that in this movie. There are many shadows of invisible guests, and the revenge settings are almost the same. But as a Virgo, it's really quite impressive that it was able to be made like this, with such well-handled details in every aspect. Interested friends can go and watch the original film and definitely won't be disappointed. It's full of tension and excitement, and it's just great. Well, it's time to say goodbye again. I'm Scene Stealer, and finally, let me end this video with one sentence. Bye bye.